YouTube Ozic going the Goat House is back with my board for offensive playmakers in the NFL draft. Top 20 running backs, top 20 receivers, and top 10 tight ends all in this video. I'm pumped. Let's do it. Time for my top 20 running backs in this absolutely loaded class. I mean, there is a long list of quality running backs. After the top 5, I feel like my rankings are a little different than the consensus rankings, but excited to break it down here. Number 1, I think everyone's number 1. Ashton Jeanty, the Boise State running back. I have an elite grade on him, much like probably yourself out there. You do as well. Easily a top 5 player in this class. The question will be for teams, how early do we take a running back, even if he's as great as Ashton Jeanty, especially given all the running backs that we're going to talk about in this class. So I'm very curious how the teams that are running back needy teams, how they make that decision there and where he falls. He can end up going to the Raiders. I mean, it'd be a surprise, but maybe the Patriots at 4, but probably the Raiders, the Saints, maybe the Bears. Those are very realistic options. Very curious to see where he falls. It should be in the top 10. Number 2, Amarian Hampton, North Carolina running back, who I've been a fan of for a long time. If you've been watching us, I've been hyping him up. And I feel like a lot of people have him as a round 1 grade now. I like him early round 1. In terms of my board, he's going to finish top 10 on my board. And why? I know everyone pretty much likes him, but why? I'm going to tell you why I like him that much. He checks every box. And when do you see a running back that, like Hampton, with his size, his physicality, violent runner, his athleticism, that speed, power, size combination, ridiculous. He's an incredible pass protector. He's an incredible pass catcher. Checks all the boxes. Put all that together. How often do you see a running back like that? We really don't. So this is even though he's not even the best in his class, this is a rare type of running back who I think is going to be a dynamic, very useful, important weapon at the next level. So a top 10 player on my board. He reminds me of a more violent Joe Mixon. So that's pretty high praise right there. Number 3 and 4, Caleb Johnson, Quinshon Judkins. They're really, really close for me. Back and forth on those guys. But I like Caleb Johnson at number 3, the Iowa running back. When I turn on the tape and watch him, what's the first thing I see? Something that's very, very important. His vision. I think he actually has the best vision in the class. When he gets the ball, how quickly, he wastes no time seeing and hitting the hole. That is very important. It makes him a very, very safe pick in round 2. You're going to get a guy that sees the hole, hits the hole, and he can hit some home runs as well. He's got some physicality to him. Size-wise, I wish he would use that a little bit more. I think teams can get a little bit more of that out of him, which could create some upside. He ended up being a little bit more of a straight line runner than I thought. He's really never going to juke anyone out of their jock strap. So you wish, if he had that element to his game rather than him just trying to beat guys straight line, if he had a little bit more to his game like that, he'd be a first-round pick all day. Not even close, all day. So that's kind of what he's missing, and that kind of makes you wonder, where's his ceiling at if he's, not a big make-you-miss guy. He shows it here and there, and he can break some tackles. But I think his physicality and his size gives him some upside. Quinshon Judkins. So we have 2 Ohio State running backs back-to-back, 4 and 5. I like Judkins more than Henderson. Henderson's more explosive, but Judkins kind of gives me more of an every down back feel, which both have the chance to be that. Judkins maybe a little bit more physical. You combine the size with the physicality, the explosiveness. He has all of it. He's almost in that category of Hampton where there's a lot to like because the size, the physical, everything. He checks a lot of boxes. So I like Judkins a lot. He does bounce some runs outside. I think that was more so Ohio State's offense. I actually think even though they didn't use him as an every down back, I think he has the ability to be that. Travion Henderson, number 5. Explosive, maybe the most explosive running back in this class. The explosive ability says first round, but I do think he's lacking, not lacking, but his vision isn't as good as the top 4. Maybe there's some guys under him that probably have better vision. I've seen him, kind of pass him wide open lanes, run into contact. Sometimes he gets away with it because his explosive ability. So to me, he's going to be a very, very, very high-end running back 2. That doesn't sound great at first for a number 5 running back, but in one of a very Detroit Lions-esque backfield, which teams are trying to replicate. So kind of being that Jahmyr Gibbs, I think he has a little more size than Jahmyr Gibbs, but kind of being that guy, like a extremely high-end, like 2 running back 1s, but he's kind of that high-end RB2 that just has a freaky explosive ability. So he's going to be my running back 5. Give me Cam Scatterboo at number 6. The Arizona State star running back was so important to the Sun Devils this year. It's a guy we just can't overthink. I keep telling myself that. He runs, a slower 40. He doesn't have that breakaway speed. He has a ton of mileage on him. So it's like, God, there's all these other, so many of them, explosive running backs. I kind of want to put him over Scatterboo, but it's a guy we're not going to doubt at all. This guy, he sees the hole, he hits it, he makes people miss. He's got a little wiggle to him. He'll run you over. He's physical. I mean, he caught the ball all over the field this year. Apparently, he can throw the football as well. Teams stacked the box. They knew it was coming, and they still could not stop Scatterboo. So I'm not overthinking this one. Give me him at 6, even though it's close with some of these other round 3 running backs. Dylan Sampson at number 7 out of Tennessee. If you watch him in terms of his pure running ability, his vision could be a little bit better. Sometimes he's missed some holes. Sometimes he's ran into contact. But at the end of the day, you have an explosive running back that he could pass protect as well. And this was his first year starting, and he was that productive for Tennessee. So he's very young, first year starting, more reps. He can fix those little things he needs to fix. And at the end of the day, this dude just cannot be stopped around the goal line, around the end zone. This dude makes it easy to find the end zone. 22 touchdowns this year. I think he has upside as a pass catcher, in my opinion, as well. So another one where maybe there's some other guys that are just better pure runners on tape right now, but I'm banking off upside, and I don't know if anyone's a better pure runner around the goal line than Dylan Sampson. It has to count for something that he just gets in the end zone. And he's an explosive athlete as well. Number 8, Jaden Blue. I've been talking about Jaden Blue while other people had him as an undrafted guy. Everyone kind of coming around on him now. He's not an every down back because he's under 200 pounds, but I think this can be maybe a poor man's Jahmyr Gibbs type running back. He's explosive. He's a little bit more physical than his weight says. He's actually a decent, not the best, but a decent pass protector. I mean, he is explosive, a 4-2 guy. If he finds a crease, he is gone, and he can run routes, from the backfield, or you line him up in the slot, and he is really twitchy with his route running ability. So I'm a big fan of Jaden Blue. The running backs we're talking about on this slide are all so close. There is really not much splitting them up. Number 9, I'm going to go Damian Martinez. Really, the only knock on him is he doesn't have, the greatest long speed. I wouldn't call him slow. I mean, he ran in the 4.5s. He's explosive enough. There's other guys that are a little more explosive. Sometimes he can be a little patient, but man, he'll run you over. He'll make you miss. He's got some good jukes as well. He's very good as a pass protector. And he's sneaky as a pass catcher as well. And Martinez is a guy that's kind of been growing on me over the last couple months. It's a guy that, again, a lot of these guys are close. You can rank any of these guys at 6. And then maybe a surprise here at number 10, I have Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, the Arizona running back. Well, he played for Arizona for one game, actually. And this is a guy I have in the top 10, which is going to be a little bit of a surprise. It feels like the consensus has him down at the bottom of the running back rankings right now. I'm just going to disagree with that. But you can understand why. People are low on him. You can understand why. And it's because, he's played one game this year. And before this year, he was on New Mexico. And he was super productive for New Mexico. But let's start in the beginning. Alabama State wasn't overly productive there, but he was impressive enough to make his way to New Mexico, where he broke out. He tore it up. And then he goes to Arizona, only plays one game against his old team, New Mexico, dominates. And then eligibility issues, because he's been in college for so long, popped up, and he could not play. So, we only saw one game, on Arizona this year. He's going to be 24 this year. He wasn't overly productive right away in his career at Alabama State. So there are some reasons maybe to not like him, but turn on the damn tape. The one game this year, the whole season at New Mexico, he played Texas A&M and other decent schools, while he was at New Mexico. This dude is explosive, one of the more explosive backs in this class. Incredible vision. I love the backs that get the ball and they waste zero time finding and hitting the hole. If there is no hole, they make it. They just go. They just worry about getting upfield, getting yards, and that's where he really stands out. He'll make people miss. He'll run through them. He checks a lot of boxes for me. It's just not a long career in college, but actually not a legit long sample size. So I can understand people's concerns. Maybe they view him as a risk, but this guy can flat out play. And you wish he was a little bit better catching the ball out of the backfield. I think it's the matter of using him more. I don't think he's bad at it, but solid pass protector. There's better ones in the class, but I love this kid's game. super underrated. He ended up as a top 10 running back. I'd take him around 3. Maybe you can wait a little bit because some teams are going to be concerned again about the lengthy, what we talked about. So Ja'Cory Krosky, Merritt, Arizona, but mainly New Mexico running back. Huge fan. Running back 11 is going to be R.J. Harvey from Central Florida. Pains me to leave Harvey outside the top 10 because I love his game so much. As a pure runner, he's good. He's so explosive. Speedy, has some pop to him. As a pure runner, it almost says on tape, top 10 running back in this class, but so many of these guys so closely graded, and then once I checked out his pass protection game, it's a little on the weaker side, for sure, in this class in general. So that'll be what the slight difference, what splits up the guys ahead of him from him, and it makes me wonder how often will a team feel comfortable using him, if he's not a great pass protector, even though he's an explosive runner. But he finishes at number 11. Number 12, Corey Kiner. I'm a huge fan of Corey Kiner from Cincinnati. Another one of those Ja'Cory Krosky merits for me because seems like I'm way higher on these guys than the consensus, but I think he has the shot. I think Harvey could be the guy, but I'd say Kiner has the shot to be this year's maybe Bucky Irving. For a shorter guy, he's so physical. The contact balance is ridiculous. He will run through you, run over you. I think he's a little more athletic than the 40 time shows. I know his RAS score is pretty poor. I'm not really worried about it. I really enjoyed watching him. So I got Kiner in the top 12. Trevor Etienne from Georgia at 13. Maybe a little underwhelming this year. He was better at Florida, but what he was better at, what he showcased this year actually at Georgia, which helps him on my rankings, but helps his stock in general, is his pass protection ability and his route running ability. I thought he showed those two things off a bit this year, even though he didn't play a ton. That's kind of the question. Why didn't Georgia have him on the field more? Sometimes didn't start games. Sometimes it felt like he was RB3. Some people have some maybe durability concerns with him. They feel like he's not an every down back. So that's why, man, when you watch him play, he's good, but there are some it was the under 200 pounds. There are some concerns, but I think he'd have a better career in the NFL just because he's pretty explosive, pretty physical, can run routes, can pass protect. So I put him at 13. DJ Giddens from Kansas State at 14. Dominated the combine. I mean, tested off the charts. Now, he's an interesting one because you watch him on tape. I don't know if it really matches that much. He flashes the freak athleticism sometimes, but he's more of a patient runner, not always. I'm never really a huge fan of the patient runners, but he flashes some explosive ability. But I think he has some upside, with the combination of his size, physicality, and the athleticism that he showcases, especially at the combine. Can catch the ball, decent pass protector. He's really got some wiggle to him. He can make some people miss in different ways. So he's going to come in at 14. He reminds me a lot of, I think he's actually better. I have a higher grade on him than Isaac Garendo, who kind of tore it up at the end for the 49ers. I think Giddens is actually better. Bayshul Tootin, Virginia Tech running back at 15. It feels like I'm a little lower on him than the consensus. There is a lot to like. A lot of guys so close in grades, but a lot to like because he is a home run hitter. He is speedy, and he's got a little pop to him as well. Can break some tackles. When you watch on tape, Virginia Tech, it was so many stretch runs, like where everyone's pulling outside, and then he gets outside, and it's one cut and go, hit the lane, and then it's just a pure speed play, and he has that, right? And there was even end arounds for him, and they're just getting him outside and going, and he is so good at that role. Like, he is so good on those types of plays, but yeah, that's my issue with the NFL team. Like, they're not going to run that over and over again to get him going, so how often are they going to feel comfortable using him? It reminds me a little bit of Israel Abanikanda from Pittsburgh a few years back, which I liked him. A lot of people liked him. It's because he was so good at that one cut, go, outside run where he just uses his home run speed, but he hasn't found his way in the NFL because, teams, it's too obvious. Like, he's good at this thing. He's really good at it, but we can't use him every down. So that's kind of my worry with Tootin, but there is a lot to like with him. There is a lot to like. He does have some mileage on him. So I'm going to be a little bit lower for those reasons, but he could pan out because he has the running back traits that you look for. 16 is going to be Jordan James from Oregon. I mean, this is a guy that's not super flashy. He's not going to run away from anyone, so that kind of makes you not want to like him. But the more you watch, you realize he's a very consistent running back that has really solid vision. He'll hit the hole, and he's got some contact balance to him. he finds the end zone. He finds that crease, or he'll fight for the end zone. So not super flashy. Kind of just gets the job done. Maybe he doesn't have the ideal speed or explosive ability compared to the rest. Maybe that's what keeps him down a little bit, but it's a solid top 20 running back. Ollie Gordon at 17 looked like the best running back in college football in 2023. 2024, he definitely felt like he took a step down, so you wonder what's going on there. But, man, you go to early 2023, Oklahoma State was running a lot more outside zone, and it was working, and they kind of switched their scheme up a little bit. And you look at Ollie Gordon, you don't think he's an outside zone guy, but it feels like he most definitely is. So I'm wondering if a team just runs the right scheme or gets him in their scheme, which is the right scheme, and they use him, and maybe he just turns out to be that feature star back that he was. So that makes me want to rank him higher, but he is a little tight, upright runner. You know, he's not going to run by anyone. You wish he was a little more explosive, even though he can hurdle defenders. So it's kind of weird that he has that, but he's a big back at the same time. He's sneaky as a route runner or pass catcher. He is a machine as a pass protector. So there's reasons I want to rank Ollie Gordon in the top 10 even, but then there's reasons where the down year, upright runner, tall runner, not going to run away from anyone, and that kind of puts him, in this range. So he's a very tough one to rank. Someone's going to get a dog, though, for sure. Montrell Johnson Jr. from Florida. I'm a huge fan of Montrell Johnson. I want to rank him higher. If we're talking pure running ability, he's be higher. But he's coming off multiple injuries last year, even though he played a lot last year. But multiple injuries to the leg, to the knee, actually. So you wonder about that. Is that something that's going to keep popping up? But, man, he's a guy that sees the hole. He can fly. He can break tackles. Yeah, for his prototypical size, but his athletic ability that he showcased at the Combine, it's kind of rare, look, even with this class. So it's a guy that I want to rank higher. Is he going to get the opportunities these other guys are going to get? Is he going to stay healthy? Lan Larison, a sleeper running back here, making my top 20 from UC Davis. I'm usually not a fan of the small school running backs because they're tough to judge on tape because the holes are just wide open. The defenses are just terrible at that level. The offenses are pretty solid at that level, but with him, you can see he's got the talent. He's a freak athlete. He'll hurdle you, he'll juke you out, he'll run by you, and he's a freak pass catcher as well. Incredible hands, super productive over his career. And UC Davis, actually, they played California. He looked pretty good. They played some of the better teams at that level, and he looked pretty good. This is kind of like a very poor man's Christian McCaffrey type running back. Tempted to rank him higher, but he playing against weaker competition, but he has quite a few fumbles as well. So you fumble at that level, that's going to keep you down. If it wasn't for the fumble mistakes, another guy you want to rank a lot higher, even though he's a small school kid, than Devin Neal. I mean, this is an explosive, twitchy, got some wiggle to him type running back. Was awesome against Colorado, but in several games, all the way down at 20 from a really good running back. It just shows how good this running back class is, and we're leaving out some really good guys here. And we'll have a spreadsheet closer to the draft with more than just top 20, but there's a lot of good running backs in this class. I mean, Taj Brooks is a phenomenal pass protector. LaQuint Allen is a really good pass catcher. These guys, Brashard Smith, these guys would be next in line here, but a ridiculous class. Time to rank the top 20 receivers. I got Travis Hunter as a receiver. I've said it before. I mean, he's a great corner. I find with him playing both, a little scary if he's playing every snap at both, both ways. But I've said it before. It's a waste if this guy's not playing receiver. I think he has the ability to be another, is he going to be as good as Jefferson or Chase? I think he could be in that category. I'm not going to say he's going to pass them up. I really think he could be in that conversation. The only knock on him as a receiver is a little thinner. How's he going to be against press? But he doesn't really play like he's, light or anything. He'll go up and catch the ball over, anybody because he has freak athleticism. He has incredible hands, incredible separation skills, home run guy, eyes in the back of his head, can play outside, play in a slot. He checks every single box. This is a star elite, my number one player in the entire class, a guy you do not see very often. Number one receiver. Number 2 and number 3 are so close. Even Luther Burden at 4, very close. I've been back and forth on Matthew Golden. I was hyping up Golden when everyone thought he was a day 2 guy at best. So, but a lot of people kind of coming around on him as well. Golden or McMillan, 2 totally different receivers. I went back and I look at all the past receiver debates that I've had with myself in past drafts. And it seems like those guys that are so close in the first round in grade, which guy pans out better? And it's always the more explosive guy, and or the guy that separates a little bit better. Those guys always pan out more than the McMillan types. McMillan is a special talent, so that'll be the slight edge to Matthew Golden. Yeah, you wish the production was a little bit more, but man, this guy is a twitchy, quick route runner. The releases are ridiculous, and usually those types of guys, do they have the ability to go up and catch the ball or track the ball? Do they have great hands? Can they win against zone? And he does, so he checks a lot of boxes. I think he'll be much more productive. And Texas did a lot of dumping the ball off underneath, and they tried to get Bond the ball. They tried to get Helm the ball. They tried to throw the ball to the running backs, like I said. So they try to mix it up. So I think that'd be the reason his production was a little bit lacking for some people. But I think he has a bright future. And then Tetairoa McMillan at 3. Love McMillan's game. I think where people kind of get it wrong, not wrong, but because you can understand the thinking. He's a 6'4" outside receiver. He's had some flashy contested catch moments, so that's what he is, right? But he's actually better working inside, going across the middle of the field, slants, drags, and he actually has another gear that he hits when going across the middle of the field. After the catch, he almost looks like a 4-4 guy. But when he's running routes along the boundary, he looks like a 4-6 guy. It feels like he's not even trying at times, and he doesn't separate there. So he has the makings to be an elite contested catch guy, but right now he's actually better. And it's really going to depend on, if a team takes him and they use him in the slot at times, and they just really use him over the middle of the field, I think he's going to be a star. I think he's polished and ready for that, actually. But I think there's a lot of teams that look at him and go like, this guy has to be an outside guy. We're going to force that, an outside guy only, which, again, he has the makings to be that, but if you stick him in one spot, I think we're going to see some of the same issues where he's not separating consistently along the outside. Sometimes he doesn't need to, and sometimes he makes that incredible catch. So, but he is a unique type of prospect, and he's, I like him in the middle of the first round. So right there at Matthew Golden, none of them are touching Travis Hunter, but I've been back and forth throughout this process with Golden McMillan. And Luther Burden's not far off, It's a little trickier of an evaluation because he had a lot of his catches were within 10 yards, and by a lot, I mean most of his catches, and that's not his fault at all. It was more of Missouri's offense's fault, but he gets open downfield. A lot of times they didn't see him. They had some quarterback issues this year. Brady Cook injured, Drew Pine in. He's terrible. So, but Burden is twitchy, run routes. He'll actually go up and catch the ball, make some contested catches, but he is strictly a slot receiver right now, so maybe teams that need an outside receiver, I feel like he could convert, but he played like 36, 37 snaps on the outside. That's in very, very, very little. So there's going to be teams that are like, we don't feel comfortable taking him in the first because we're looking for more of an outside receiver. So that'd be the difference between Golden and McMillan. But I could see Burden panning out. He's kind of got that it factor. I could see him being the number 2. I don't think anyone's catching Hunter. Number 5 is going to be Mecca Egbuka. I think he's a little bit stepped down from those guys. I feel more comfortable early 2, but if someone takes him late 1, I'm fine with it because he's talented. You put him in the slot. I think he has a little bit more ability to play outside than Burden, but it's pretty close. They're more just slot receivers. Put him in the slot. He's twitchy. He can run routes, get separation, get some JSN comparisons. I thought JSN was better. Egbuka is actually a little tougher after the catch. But there were a lot of scheme plays, though, at Ohio State where it's misdirection. You bring the whole offense and defense this way, and he's leaking out over there, and it's just wide open. It's really not his fault. But a lot of those plays, I think, result in his production. But I felt like he got better, over the year, like in the playoffs. Showcase a little bit more of the spectacular plays. Had one against Notre Dame he ended up fumbling on, but not a big deal there. But he'll be my receiver 5. Receiver class is fun on day 2. There's a lot of good ones, and these rankings right here, 6 through 10, they're all so close for me. I'm going to go Kyle Williams. The second I watched him, I was saying he's a top 10 receiver. He's super explosive. He's a guy all of a sudden, I think, because Chris Sims ranked him at 2. Everyone else is kind of jumping in, but I saw the explosibility from the start. This guy can move before and after the catch. He's really got really good releases, really twitchy, really quick-footed, can run routes, can track the ball down the field. He's a safe pick. Just get him the ball and let him go to work. But typically those guys, give him the ball, let him go to work. You got to scheme things to them, but he doesn't need things to be schemed for him. So he'll get open down the field. So I think he's an early round 2 guy. I wonder if the Titans take Cam Ward, do they take his ex-teammate Kyle Williams early round 2? We'll see where I think he could end up going mid or late round 2, but that's where I'll grade him. Trey Harris of Ole Miss. I at the end of the day, I love Trey Harris. I was starting to move him down a little bit more in that 9-10 because he's had multiple injuries. Groin, a minor knee thing last year, multiple injuries. So it makes you worry a little bit, but this guy's so talented. I think if he didn't have those injury concerns, and maybe if he was a little quicker in terms of what he run in the 4.5s, but I mean, he looks a lot quicker and faster on the field. But yeah, forget the durability concerns. If that didn't exist, I think we'd be talking about him late first round. So that's the knock on him. You worry about the availability for him, but he is so good. He's so good down the field, contested catches. He is sneaky good after the catch. Again, I think he's more quick than people give him credit for. He's physical. I'd be ranking him 5 or 6 if it wasn't for those durability concerns. I'd be ranking him 5 or 6. So I like Trey Harris a lot. Early round 2, you take a shot at him because he is talented. Huge fan of Ty Felton, one of the guys in my draft, so I don't think you'll see anyone rank him this high. He had games earlier this year, Michigan State, USC, some of those games where he just was unstoppable. Teams just had no answer for him, and he's got, I think the freak athleticism is a bonus for him. I mean, that's a huge bonus, but he can get open. He can track the ball. He can fight off defenders. He can go up and catch it in the end zone as well. I just something about Ty Felton. I want to rank him the top 10. He kind of disappeared a little bit at the end of the season where he was just absolutely dominant earlier in the year. So I guess that's a little bit of knock. He had a little bit more drops in the end of the year as well. So that's what makes him a little tricky. Like, which Ty Felton are we going to get? Because earlier in the year, this year, he looked like easily a top 10, like far in the top 10 receivers. So he's going to finish as receiver 8 for me. And you got both the Iowa State guys, which it's tough not ranking them in the top 8, but they're right there. Jalen Knowles, slot receiver. I think a safe pick. If you're looking for a slot receiver and you need a starter there, boom, he's going to be good for you. He can run routes. He can separate. For a short guy, he can run. He has deep speed, and he can go up and catch the ball as well. He's a freak athlete, so I think a really safe pick. Whoever gets him, and if he starts, I think he's gonna be good right away. I think it's a sure thing there. And then Jaden Higgins, which the more I watch the outside Iowa State receiver in Higgins, the more I see a little Drake London in him. The more and more I watch, I see Drake London. I think London's a little bit better after the catch. Tetero McMillan's getting the Drake London comparisons. I've compared him to Michael Thomas in the past. That's one of my favorite comparisons in the whole class. And Higgins, I see a little Drake London, not as good, but maybe a little tight at times, right after the catch or getting out of his breaks. But for his size, he's fairly athletic. Showed at the combine, he's very athletic actually, but pretty solid contested catcher, was very, very productive, more productive than Knoll, even though they were both productive. So there's just slight things that I like. I think the other guys are a little more flexible. I think he's a little tighter than the other guys, but not that he's in general like that's a bad thing. It's just there are slight things separating these guys on this slide, ranking 6 through 10. Receiver 11 is going to be Isaiah Bond, the Texas receiver. I'm fine with him late round 2 because I think he has a lot of upside. Early round 3 makes some sense. He's a guy that I'm tempted to rank higher because he has the makings to be. He's one of those guys that I could see him if there was a guy outside the top 10 or even outside the top 5, the obvious guys. If there was a guy you said ended up being like way better, like a star receiver, and not only way better than expected, but a star receiver, I think Isaiah Bond, because he has the makings to be a legit receiver. He can play inside, outside. He's got good separation skills, home run ability. He is explosive before and after the catch. So he's just got to fully put it together, stay healthy. He has some bad moments, and then dealt with a little bit of durability things this year. So puts it together. He can be special. A guy that I want to like more. I see a little Chris Olave in him. I've seen people say that with Golden. I see it more with Bond. Number 12, Jack Besh from TCU, is very safe pick in round 3. He's not as flashy or doesn't have as much upside as the 11 guys ranked ahead of him, so that'll be the slight difference, but a very safe pick. He's going to get open. He's going to catch the ball. I think we'll be using the slot a bit. Torrey Horton from Colorado State was injured most last year, so that'll knock him a little bit, but lengthy, athletic, can make contested catches, really good along, around the boundary, on the outside, I should say, tracking the ball downfield. So he'll be 13. Jalen Royals at 14. I might be a little lower on him than Royals, even though he's in my top 15. Then some people, the after catch ability is wow. He's athletic and he can do more. He's more than an after catch guy, but I wonder at first, you have to scheme things up for him to get him going, because had a tough time beating corners, getting off his man on the outside. Does he need be more of a slot guy? Had some drops in traffic as well, but he's explosive. He's fun. Jalen Lane, big fan of the Virginia Tech receiver. I'll be a little higher on him than the consensus, putting him at 15. He's going to be much better in the NFL than he was at college as long as he gets that opportunity. Virginia Tech ran the ball a lot. It just, more of a running quarterback as well. I think he's going to be used a lot more at the next level. I think he fits kind of today's prototype slot receiver, where it's not just a short, stockier guy. It's speed demon, but he's got a little length to him for the slot, not freak length or anything like that. But he can run routes. He gets open, and he's a home run guy after the catch. He's fun. I think he's going to be better at the next level. 16, Nick Nash, another guy that people are sleeping on a little bit. I was actually surprised how much I liked him after watching him. Insanely productive at San Jose State, but I was surprised at the contested catch ability, the ability to go up and catch the ball at its highest point. He does it at an extremely high level in the red zone or anywhere over the field. He'll make a contested catch along the boundary, but he played in the slot. He was almost 50-50 playing a slot play outside, and he's twitchy there. He used to play quarterback, so I think he just understands the field a lot. I think he's a safe pick down here, round 4, round 5, wherever he goes. I like Nick Nash. I liked him more than I thought I would. Alec Aomanor from Stanford. I'm going to be a little bit lower on him than the consensus. People have him around the top 10 range, which he's a guy that I think could pan out because he's got some size, the build. He's pretty athletic, too. I thought he showcased that more at the combine than on tape, but he's not lacking it on tape. And he has some spectacular catch ability. You combine those things together, it feels like he's a little raw. If the right team works with him, he can end up being special. So I see what people are saying. I'm not disagreeing. It's just, he hasn't fully put it together yet, and he's disappeared at times when he's played against, he dominated Colorado 2 years ago, but other than that, when he played against better defenses or better corners, it was a 2 or 3 catch game. When he went against Noel Williams, I thought Noel Williams locked him down and out-physicaled him, which shouldn't be the case too. I mean, he bullied him, so he disappears a little often. It just kind of reminds me of those, there's another Stanford receiver, not that I evaluate the helmet, but it reminds me of those receivers that the ones that are contested catch guys that don't really separate that much, don't really work out the next level because they disappear too much at times. I think he'd be better than those guys in the past because he has more traits that you look for. So he has some upside, but he just disappears at times for me a little bit too much. Pat Bryant's a tricky one, the Illinois receiver, because I want to rank him higher because he's a good receiver. He gets open. It feels like he can read zone coverage, which is a big thing. A lot of kids, coming out of college can't do that. He can make contested catches along the boundary. He just ran into 4.6s. That's a problem, right? When do receivers that run 4.6s, that the ones that do pan out, very rare, have, they're more quick. They have shiftiness to them. And he doesn't really have that either. Not that he's completely lacking it, but so that's the problem. But he's a smart receiver that's very solid. So he's a guy that I want to rank higher. Savion Williams of TCU, wow ability. You can put it at running back. You give gadget plays too. He has flashy moments where it's a good route and he makes a spectacular catch, but he does have a lot of drops. So this kind of feels like a classic case of TCU receivers, but we don't want to scout the helmet. He kind of reminds me of Cordero Patterson. I've heard that comparison, but Cordero Patterson was, I don't remember what he timed in the 40. I'm pretty sure he ran 4.4s, but when you watch Cordero Patterson as a prospect or early in his career, he was a 4.3 guy on the field. Williams isn't quite, he's more of a 4.5, high 4.4s. So he doesn't really have the speed and he does have the drops, but he is a lot of fun. Elijah Badger, here's a sleeper for you, the Florida receiver at 20. He has the ideal prototypical size of today's receiver, not like 5 or 10 years ago where you're looking for 6'4", big build. He's 6'1", 6'2". He's got crazy arm length, which, you look at Jefferson and Chase, they're only like 6'1", but they're lengthy as hell, for that size. And he's the same way. Not that he's going to be those guys, but he's really good along the sideline, tracking the ball downfield, fighting off the defender. He could be a little bit better as a separator anywhere else, other than the sideline. He played at Arizona State, was semi-productive there, and at Florida. Florida switching quarterbacks over the years. So I think he's a guy that could be better at the next level, a guy to watch there. But there's my top 20 receivers, and there's some slot receivers that missed the cut that you gotta like. Guys like Restrepo, Jimmy Horn Jr., Tez Johnson. slot receivers are always tougher to judge because the guy, the defenders play so far off the ball at the college level against those slot receivers. So a little bit more challenging them at the next level, but some of them that we talked about, we feel comfortable with. Top 10 receivers, Tyler Warren's going to be number 1 for me. I have an elite grade on him. I think people are starting to overthink him. Yeah, he's not the fastest guy in the world, but this guy was a plus 1,000-yard tight end. He was Penn State's offense. It's a very, very talented team, and this was the guy. Teams would know he would get the ball, and they still couldn't stop him. He can make contested catches. He's good after the catch. He can run block way better than people are talking about. So this is a guy that's going to make your team better instantly. Colson Loveland next at number 2. I think he's a mid-round 1 guy, almost a receiver-like route running ability, very bendy, and then he can make some solid catches, contested catches as well. And I think he's a sneaky blocker as well. What I don't love about him is after catch ability is almost non-existent. He'll look to the sideline. He won't break tackles. And you look at the best tight ends in football, they do those things at a high level. So it doesn't mean he can't be one of the better tight ends in football. I think he'll be very impactful, with his route running ability, his pass catching ability. It's just he's lacking that a little bit. Mason Taylor at number 3, so much upside. I think if he just adds a little bit more power, a little bit more strength, get in the weight room a little bit more, I think he could be special, and he'll do that. NFL program will do that. He's young, he's raw, he has upside, but man, he's a good route runner, smooth route runner is the way I want to say it, and he's got some good hands, can make some big-time plays. Harold Fannin Jr., tricky one at number 4, the Bowling Green star tight end, or do we want to call him more of a receiver? That's the thing. Well, one, a lot of his production was schemed up. Get the rest of the offensive players downfield, and you just dump him the ball right underneath them, lead blockers, and he goes. He's really good after the catch. So I think a lot of these other tight ends would have been as productive. He was crazy productive. I think a lot of guys could have been, that productive, but he still made the plays. Great hands, great after the catch, and can he play your traditional tight end at the next level? Again, another guy that's a little underrated blocking. It's just he's too much of a freak with the ball in his hands to not rank him in the top 5. So I'll rank him the top 4. Gunnar Helm, I like his tape. He's not super flashy, not super athletic, not super speedy, but he'll catch the ball. He'll make people miss after the catch. You see him hurdle people. He's pretty physical as well. I think he has a lot of upside as a blocker. He has flashes there. So I just like his tape. He's not going to be a star tight end, but he's going to be a solid one. I think a pretty safe pick here. And I love that he destroyed his ankle and then went through the combine workout. Shows he's kind of got a little bit of that dog in him. Number 6 is going to be Miami's Elijah Arroyo. Very productive. Yeah, another one of those guys. Is he, a move tight end? Is he more of a receiver? And I think he's more sneaky athletic than he is athletic. Not that he's not athletic. I think he's sneaky athletic. He's a little tight after the catch. The other guys, even though he was super flashy down the field, I think there's a little bit more flash in terms of a tight end to the other guys' games. So slight difference there. Round 3 guy. A team will have a role for him. He can go up and catch the ball over someone. Terrence Ferguson, I think, will be better at the next level than he was at Oregon, but kind of a smart route runner, a little sneaky after the catch. Had some drops, not a huge concern there, but maybe a little bit more of an inline option than some of the other guys like Arroyo and Fannin. Mitchell Evans at 8 from Notre Dame. 2023 season, before the injury, he looked like a future round 2 guy, like easily round 2. Incredible hands, gets open, tough after the catch. Then he, tears his knee, comes back this year, and he looked like he lost a step. So it's a little risk, but guys that young usually don't lose a step, even if it's after the injury. So is that permanent? Can he get back? And he was still good for them this year. He's still very good. So if he can get back on track, he could be a steal in round 4 or round 5 where he's going to go. One I'm a huge fan of, Jake Brennenstuhl from Clemson. A pleasant surprise. I was not expecting to like him as much as I have. I think the consensus has him ranked easily below 10, like in that 12 to 15 range. I'm a big fan. Yeah, he's got a little bit thinner of a frame for a tight end, so maybe that's the worry, but man, he can run routes. I feel like he understands zone coverage. He knows how to get, separate, get open against zone. He's better against zone than man, but luckily the NFL is like all zone these days. And he's sneaky after the catch. He can outrun people. He can, he'll lower his shoulder at the goal line and get in. He'll go over the top and catch the ball over him. So really the only thing for me is, could he be a better blocker? Sure. Could he be a little thicker? Sure. I think teams could do that with him. I loved his tape. I thought it was a pleasant surprise. I'm a big fan. And then Thomas Fedone from Nebraska, really long, a guy you want to work with because he's so lengthy and he's got production. He's physical. He's semi-athletic. So he'll come in at number 10. Those guys can go in the round 4, round 5 range. Then you got, Jackson Hawes. It's tough not to rank in the top 10 because he's an insane blocker. He's just not going to be much of a pass catcher. Conyers from Texas Tech, formerly Arizona State, is a dog, physical guy. There's a pretty sneaky tight end class even after the obvious guys here. So there you have it for the offensive playmaker board from myself here, and then there'll be more rankings, a spreadsheet at the end closer to the draft, which is coming up with more rankings. But next video we'll break down the offensive linemen, all the offensive linemen, then we'll get on to defense. So we're getting there here, and a lot of content rolling out. Pretty much every day going forward here. So hopefully you can join us, like, subscribe, turn notifications on live. We'll be live day 1 of the NFL draft with live analysis reactions. So join us. But that's going to do it. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.